Let's look at 5. Philip, what's he doing? He played a board game and he drew four cards that read go back 8 spaces. What's the change in Philip's position on the game board? So what did the cards say? That you have to go back 8 spaces. How many times does he have to go back 8? Well, he drew 4 cards that all said this. So he didn't do this once, he did it 4 times. So he went back 8 spaces 4 times. Negative times a positive is a negative. 8 times 4 is 32. So what's his change? He actually went back 32 spaces. 5 has to be B. 6. Manuel played an arcade game that costs 25 tokens per game. In 6 games, he won 0 tokens, 10 tokens, 50 tokens, 0 tokens, 5 tokens, and 10 tokens. What's the change in the number of tokens Manuel has? Okay, so let's start at the beginning. So he's playing an arcade game. It costs 25 tokens per game. He plays 6 games. So it costs him 25 tokens. He does that 6 times. He plays 6 games. In the 6 games, he wins 0. So we don't need to add that. Then he wins 10. Then he wins 50. Then he wins 0. We don't need to add that. Then he wins 5. And then he wins 10. What's the change in the number of tokens he has? So now we just solve this. So we have to do this multiplication first. Negative times a positive gives us a negative. And we can come to the side and do 25 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. So this is negative 150. We can combine all of these. Let's do 10, and 10, that's 20, plus 50 is 70, plus 5 gives us 75. So now we have negative plus a positive. Which one has the greater absolute value? Which one's further from 0 than negative? And now we take their absolute values and subtract them. 10 minus 5 is 5. Borrow from this 0, make that a 14 minus 7 is 7. So negative 75. What's the change in the number of tokens? So he has 75 tokens less. So that would be B. So 7. A football team was given 3 penalties. 3 penalties for 15 yards each. And 2 penalties for 5 yards each. Alright, so what's going on here? So this penalty is 15 yards, so you'll go back 15 yards. That happened 3 times. He had 3 penalties for this many yards. And something else happened. 2 penalties. And each of those, the team went back 5 yards. What's the total change in the position? Negative times a positive is a negative. 15 times 3 is 45. Negative times a positive is a negative. 2 times 5 is 10. 45 negatives plus 10 negatives, 55 negatives, so 7 is C. 8. Amy bought 3 pounds of lemons at $2 per pound, box of rice for $4, and 7 frozen dinners for $3 each. What's the change in the amount of money she has? Okay. So she bought 3 pounds of lemons at $2 per pound. So her account goes down $2 for each pound, and she bought 3 pounds. And she bought a box of rice for 4. She only bought 1 box, so she's just going to take away $4 from what she has. And then 7 frozen dinners. Each frozen dinner costs $3. 7 frozen dinners, so 7 dinners, and each one takes the account down by $3. Alright, so negative times a positive is a negative, and 2 times 3 is 6. Let's just bring this straight down. The addition of -4. And we're going to add. Positive times a negative is a negative. 7 times 3 is 21. So, negative plus negative plus negative. 6 negatives plus 4 negatives. 10 negatives. -10 plus -21. They're both negatives. So what does this mean? What's the change in the amount of money she had? So she spent $31. 8 is B.